Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show, late night here on Saturday night as we look at 15 games to close out the NBA regular season here with you guys. I'm going to be looking at some best bets I already have in. Definitely going to be getting up some more tomorrow morning as early as I can as well. So definitely want to make sure that you are subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along. Jump into that live stream tomorrow. That is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern time that we get that going. Been having a lot of fun talking to everybody that's up there in the Discord. So definitely want to make sure you guys are jumping into that. That is brand new as I have started that last Friday. Already got a good amount of y'all in there as we talk about these games each and every night and get ahead of this stuff together. So we got some good looks already for this one. Let's jump right into my first game that I'm looking at here, the Bucks and the Magic. Obviously, the first thing we're going to talk about here is Giannis not playing and the fact that Dame is going to play in this one as well. We also have Franz Wagner back in the lineup here for the Magic. He missed the last game versus these two teams where the Magic got their butts kicked by the Dame and the Bucks, really, as Bobby Portis and company went in on them in that last one, winning by about 28 points in that game, or 18 points around there. But this one is going to be a little bit different of a look now that we've got Franz Wagner back for the Magic. And my lean on the side here is definitely to go with the Magic. Quick look at the playoff scenario for both of these teams. If you see the Bucks in second right now, basically if they win, they're good to go. Or if New York and Cleveland lose, then they get that 2 seed right there. The 3 seed comes if they lose, and then one of the other two teams basically wins or loses, right? And then they're good to go for the 3 seed. And the 4 seed happens if they lose and both of those other teams and the Cavs and the Knicks pull off the W's. The Magic have a ton of different scenarios that they could face, but the bottom line is that they need to win. If they win, they do clinch that 5 seed. If they lose, they now make themselves susceptible to getting to the 8 seed, depending on what other teams do, like the Pacers and company. We'll take a quick look at the playoff scenarios here in just one sec, but I wanted to show you a couple other things here with these teams, including with and without Giannis and with and without Franz Wagner, because we know both those things are really going to impact the game here. With Giannis this season, this team is about a little bit worse, honestly, on the offensive rating, but they're playing so much faster with Giannis that they still score 3 more points per game than when he's off the floor there, about $1.16 with him off the floor, or just not in the game at all. The defensive rating goes way up, obviously. This is where he is incredibly important for this team. 122 defensive rating without him. Already not great, 115.8 defensive rating with him on the squad, but significantly better. And they're giving up 2 fewer points per game, only because they're playing so much faster. Like I said, otherwise it would be way more points per game less that they give up when Giannis is in the game here. And obviously the record is just way different, right? 45-28, really nice win percentage there versus 500 on the season without him at this point. That's a big reason why I do like the Magic in this one. Also, got Franz back. That's a huge part of this. You look at the with and without Franz Wagner stuff for the Magic squad, pretty significant, man. 115 defensive rating with him versus a 109.6 without. And that's in 10 games, right? 3-7 record that you see there at the bottom versus the 43-28 record that they've had with him. Really, really good team with Franz Wagner this season, just plain and simple. They score more per game. They give up fewer points per game with him, 108 points per game that they're giving up versus the 111. And they also play much faster with him. Otherwise, they would give up more points per game, even more so without him on the floor. He's just been really important for all over and what they do. So I actually want to kick it off my first best bet that I actually placed here with Franz Wagner, over 20.5 points, 0.5 units on that for -110. Basically, this comes down to him just being the dude that scores exactly where this Milwaukee defense is weakest, and now it's going to be even weaker without Giannis there. If you look at the shot chart for him in the last couple games where he was guarded by Chris Middleton and it just cooked him both times, honestly, just absolutely took him to school. Really a ton of mid-range shots, a lot of stuff right inside the paint, right as soon as you get past that free throw line. That's where Franz is scoring a ton of his points. You look at the shot chart on defense for this Bucks squad, it is one of the worst, 25th against the mid-range shot, 30th above the break. He's taking 6 above the break shots as well against his team in both the games that he's played, going over in both of those at 26 a game. And what you love to see is the 19.5 field goal attempts that he's taken against this team in both games this season. Like, that's the average in both of them, with 5.5 free throw attempts as well, which is huge for Franz to get those easy buckets where he usually makes about 4 of 5, about that, right? An 80% free throw shooter. And yeah, I think without Giannis in there, like I was saying a second ago, they're just super vulnerable, especially right inside of that free throw line, like I was saying, because Brook Lopez is often meeting guys at the rim, which is why they actually have a really good defensive field goal percentage inside of 5 feet. Don't do the Bucks. But when it comes to exactly where Franz is shooting, and he increased his mid-range as well. When he played against his team the last couple games, he's up to about 2.5 mid-range shots per game. He just knows where they're weakest and has been able to take advantage. So we're going to take him to get 21 points as the first bet tonight. Second best bet is one I have another half a unit on there, and that's -120 for Bobby Portis to go under 10.5 boards in this one. And there's a lot that I like about this bet, to be honest. So the first thing here is you look at the 8 games he's played without Giannis this season. He's under in 6 of those 8, and he's averaging 10.1 because he's gotten 10 boards a couple times without Giannis. But then you throw in the games that he's had with Chris Middleton, and in the 5 of 6 games that he's played without Giannis and with Chris Middleton, he's gone under this, averaging about 9.3 rebounds per game. So even lower there, a couple boards below the 11 that he needs to get here. Orlando is the 7th best rebounding team in the league, according to the percentage of rebounds that they get in each game. And then they allow the 2nd fewest rebounds per game to Bobby Portis's rebound profile using COURTSIDE PAL, which is a tool we love to use there that shows us the playmaking stuff versus the play type stuff rather versus the defense of a team. And so I would really recommend checking out the description of the video for courtsidepal.com to use that at your discretion. But with Franz back, the other thing is fewer rebound chances. This team is much better as Orlando at making shots on offense, unsurprisingly, with one of its best shot makers in Franz Wagner. They allow about 8 to 9 more rebound chances per game when Franz is off the floor. There's about 6 more rebounds available for, based on the field goals that they're missing, Orlando. And then there's about 3 more free throw rebounds as well in that game. So 8 to 9 more rebound chances, which is a big reason why you saw Bobby get, he got 9 in the last game on 11 rebound chances, which is an absurd percentage. He's at like 62% rebound chance success on the season. He had a 75% rebound chance success in the last one and still didn't get to the 11 boards without Giannis against this Orlando team. So we're going to go right back to the well of him not getting 11 boards against a really good rebounding team on Sunday. Before we go any further, I want to take a quick look at the playoff scenarios here and how each game is impacted, so you know which games matter. So I've listed out here the games that actually have playoff relevance, so you can see which ones you can kind of bank on teams to be trying versus where you know certain teams are not going to be trying. So I will say this Nuggets and Grizzlies game is going to be important for the Nuggets. If they win, you can see they clinch the 1 seed if OKC and Minnesota lose. So they're in they're not in the driver's seat. They're in the 3rd row looking back in, basically, hoping that at least one of these teams loses so they can get up from the 3 seed to at least the 2 seed. The 2 seed happens if one of those other 2 teams win and they lose. The 3 seed comes with a loss or if either of those other teams win. So they're really at the mercy of what happens with OKC and Minnesota. Minnesota is playing this Suns team, as you can see here. They clinch a 1 seed, but they need OKC or Denver to lose in their games with the win. They will win if OKC they'll get the 2 seed rather if they win and OKC and Denver win, as you can see there. And the 3 seed comes their way with a loss, and then if both those other teams win. So they're still pretty looking good for a 2 seed at the worst, and a 1 seed is still very likely for them. For Phoenix here, the way that works is they need to win and they need New Orleans to lose for them to jump into the 6 seed where they're currently the 7. If they lose or New Orleans win, they get the 7. They can't get any worse than 7 there. So it's going to be one of those 2 seeds for the Suns. For the Lakers at the Pelicans, you can see that the Pelicans are looking to just clinch that 6 seed with a win. If Phoenix loses, they don't even got to worry about it, which is why all these games start at the same time. New Orleans needs to clinch, can clinch the 7th seed, obviously, if Phoenix wins and they lose. That's the only situation where they would get the 7th seed. For the Lakers, it's a little bit more convoluted. They can get the 8 seed still if they win or Sac and Golden State both lose. So they're in the driver's seat for their 8 seed. They just got to beat this awful. They have to beat the Pelicans, which is still a very good team trying themselves to win, obviously. And then they clinch the 9 seed with a loss if one of the other 2 teams does win. And the 10 seed comes if both Sac and Golden State win and they lose. So lots to play for them. The Mavs against the Thunder. The Mavs are currently locked in at the 5 seed. They're going to play the Clippers as the sort of the away team for at least more than they will be the home team, obviously, is the 5. And then for OKC, though, they do clinch if they win, Denver wins. They win, Minnesota loses. So they're somewhat in the driver's seat if Minnesota loses to Phoenix, right? They need that to happen, and then Denver to win. It's a very convoluted situation for number 1 up top for the West, but that is an important game for them that I just wanted to point out. The Dubs, you can kind of guess where it goes from here. They're sort of the inverse of with Sac and the Lakers need to do. So I won't bore you with all of it, but I would say jump into that Discord because that is where we have all this stuff up. I put these cheat sheets in there for you guys for those who want to see. In the other conference, these are the games that do matter. Cleveland does want to beat the Hornets. If they do, they have a shot at clinching the 2 seed, but they need both the Knicks and the Bucks to lose. And the other couple scenarios there where they would get the 3 and the 4 seed are alive, but they do want to win that game. That's the most important thing to know. For the Hawks and the Pacers, the Pacers need to win. It's just that simple. They do need Orlando to lose to get that 5 seed, but they get the 6 seed if they do win. So they can just go ahead and kind of bank on themselves not having to get into the play-in tournament if they win, right? Now, Philly and Miami are creeping up on them, and they both want the Pacers to lose because of the way they hold those tiebreakers. So if the Heat do beat the Raptors, there's a chance that they can jump into the 6 seed, right? They can still get out of the play-in tournament. But it's the same concept for the Pacers, the Heat, and the Philadelphia 76ers who play the Brooklyn Nets, right? So both those teams are chasing right now the Pacers and hoping that they win. Once again, I would check out these sheets on Twitter. You can follow me at JL Boogie there, but they were on Discord first and live there mostly. So I would definitely love for you guys to jump into that Discord and get in part of the conversation, get access to all this kind of stuff here. Bulls and Knicks. The Knicks just really want to win to avoid any sort of chance at the 4 seed, because if they win, no matter what happens, they will make it into that 3 seed, and they could get the 2 seed if the Magic beat Milwaukee. As far as the Magic go, right, they let's say the Bucks start there. They want to win so that they can just get the 2 seed and not have to worry about it. And then as far as Orlando goes, really convoluted for them as well. They clinch the 5 seed with this team. It's pretty confusing. As long as they win, though, they get the 5 seed. So these are mostly important so that you at least know which games you can bank on teams trying and bet on their players accordingly, knowing that they're going to play full minutes as that team needs to win. Couple more bets I have for you I want to get in before we get out of here, and remind you to jump into that live stream tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be having a couple more bets there. Should have a really good player props guest on. We'll see. He has not given me 100% commitment, but he said he's likely to come on tomorrow with me and help you guys break down these bets. Jumping in the comments, super helpful as well, so you can get in there and throw some bets our way. We'll break down what we think for those bets for you guys on screen. But right now, we see the Wizards without anybody, and the Celtics also with all their backups in. But I'm just going to keep this simple for you, because you know what happens when it's backups time for the Celtics. That means it's Peyton Pritchard time. And dude came through big time for us last game. And actually, that was 2 games ago. Last game, he went clean off, had 31 and 11 in that game. And really, this comes down to just Peyton Pritchard, even if he doesn't play the 4th quarter once again, because he got 31 and 11 in 3 quarters last game against the Hornets, and mostly the Hornets backups, which is what we're seeing here from the Wizards, a bad team with their backups playing against Peyton Pritchard. And make very clear, like, this dude is better than the backups on these other teams, especially bad teams. Like, he would be the starter on the Hornets and the Wizards, most likely, as a really, really solid guard right now, point guard especially. We're going over 33.5 points and assists. Sounds crazy because it's Peyton Pritchard, but this is where he's ready to shine. Half a unit there, because we still got another half a unit total, 0.3 on the double-double. Plus, we got the 0.2 units for him to get the triple-double. And he's only got props up on FanDuel right now. So that's where I had to take these bets. We'll see if there's a bit more tomorrow. I'll go back over that in the live stream with you guys. I'm going to be doing that real early, 12 p.m. Still give us an hour before these games tip. And hopefully we have these lineups in a good spot to be able to get a little bit more props up so that we can check them out. But I would be remiss if I didn't do that. Like last year, he had a triple-double on the last day of the season in another easy matchup that he played last season. So, look, it's just a little bit of fun for the last day of the season to just throw a unit full on him to get his props, and especially for him to do some big stuff with the double-double and the triple-double, hopefully. Last game, I don't have a bet in this one yet for. However, I will say be careful, because the Knicks are playing the Bulls, and look at this weirdness. They're minus 14.5 because they need to win, but it's not like just because they need to win, they're going to be favored by that much. We don't have any Bulls on this injury report that we really care about, right? Like Dosunmu good, yeah. Drummond's a good, obviously, rebounder, and Javonte Green has been a really good player for them in big minutes over the last few games with a lot of their dudes sitting. But what I want us to watch out for here is that Chicago has nothing to play for. They're the 9 seed. The Knicks are the 3 seed. And the Knicks have everything to play for, right? I mean, everything meaning they could still get the 2 seed, which would be dope. Not sure they even want it, to be honest with you. So I'd be careful with the Knicks just running away with this thing. I will say they're going to try to win. But my thought process is this. Even if the starters start for Chicago and nobody's, because Caruso and DeRozan and Vucevic and Kobe White, none of these dudes are on the injury report. So they kind of have to play, or they're going to be in some shady trouble with the NBA for not having a false injury report. But even if they start, don't expect them to play starter minutes. And I think I know that's what the books are predicating this line on, of minus 14.5 for the Knicks, when they haven't beaten this team by 15. Like, it's the Bulls are good enough to hang around. They're not 14.5 point dogs with all their players in against the Knicks. So it really just means that if we do get any bets up and some lines for DeMar DeRozan or for Vucevic, and if we see them anywhere too high, assuming that these dudes aren't going to play the second half or most of the second half, then we have an opportunity to take an under for a guy like DeRozan, Vooch, Kobe White, Caruso, any of these dudes that are starters that are going to play, but we don't expect to play very much. Then we can go ahead and probably face some unders for them, to be honest. Now, if that is the case, that makes me scared to take the overs for the Knicks players, because why would you? Well, unless you're worried about Tibbs, who's a maniac, and will just play guys up 30 in the fourth quarter, even though they're starters and he doesn't need to play them. I get that, but going into the playoffs, even Tibbs needs to have a little bit of caution to the wind. And if this team is up by 20 or so in the fourth quarter, he needs to put Jalen Brunson on the bench. He needs to put Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo on the bench and not worry about them getting hurt. So hopefully that's the case in this one. But I would just say proceed with caution with taking overs for either of the players on these teams that are starters, when in reality, it's likely that by the third and fourth quarter, we don't have as many starter minutes available to us anymore. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Going to be coming back tomorrow morning, like I said. Going to be spending a lot of time going over all these games as much as I can. Going to get up there nice and early with you guys. Just want to remind you, jump in the Discord. We do have lots going on in there right now. A lot of good conversation. We came up with some pretty good bets the last couple of days in there. Some really smart dudes and ladies that are coming through with some really good stuff. So I'm having a good time with you guys in there. Going to be back on 12 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, so make sure you're jumping in. Until I do see you then, happy betting.